without further ado, we have our next special guest today joining us. She is the director of Biosphere, which is an indie sci-fi. I would also say comedy as well. It is humorous. It stars Sterling K. Brown, a phenomenal actor, and Mark Duplass, who is a filmmaker, actor. You've seen him in The Morning Show. And this film is about two men after an apocalypse, which we don't get a lot of details about, but there has been a cataclysmic event on Earth that has forced these two men to live in a biodome together. That is a biodome that it's self-sustaining to a point. And an insane event occurs with the two men. And I'm almost loath to tell you what it is because I haven't seen the trailer. I've seen the movie. I've not seen the trailer.
Yeah, let the director decide if we.
Let's bring on the director. Mel Eslyn is here, and Mel, great to see you. Thank you.
Hi guys.
On the show. How's it going?
Hi, good. Chris, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Congratulations.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll do it.
Let's put her full screen.
Yeah, I got it.
I just want to say, like last time, and just like I know Mel. She's awesome. She's worked with the Duplass brothers. She's been involved in great independent films. Is this your directorial debut?
It is, yeah. Feature directorial debut.
Congratulations. And that documentary we were talking about years ago, I've made it.
You did?
It's done. I'm going to submit to Sundance.
Oh, I cannot wait.
So we'll see. But today, the film is out today. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. Theaters and on demand today.
Love it. So first, I love indie sci-fi. I love indie sci-fi because you can go deeper layers. You can take the time, and you couldn't have had two better actors. The chemistry between Sterling and Mark. Oh my God. And I just I love Mark because he can play so many different, like the Creep series.
Yeah.
I have all those films. He's so good. Tell us what led to this project. And I'm also there's a twist about a third of the way in the movie. I'm kind of hesitant to reveal it.
Yeah, dude, I don't want to reveal it. I'm so lucky that this indie film is in theaters. So I love that. I want to preserve that. I want to get everybody out in the theater, not know what it's about, have this authentic experience. Because I've been seeing it in theaters with audiences leading up to the release. And it's kind of magic what happens when people go in blind. I love it. So trying to hold on to that as long as I can.
Well, I didn't watch the trailer. I watched it blind, and you got me. So
yeah.
You got me. But what I love about it reminds me of science fiction. I'm not going to say it's like a Twilight Zone. It's different than a Twilight Zone, but I like the sort of smallness of it where it all takes place in the biodome. There are locations in the biodome. There's a pond with fish that provides sustenance to our lead characters. There's a little bit of a glimpse, but not too much detail about a backstory of their relationship and how they know each other, and maybe some guilt about this cataclysm, but it's not fully revealed. And I love that. I think we almost over-explain things to audience sometimes. But what led to this story and coming up with the idea of the script and getting Sterling and Mark to basically be in a dome to make this film?
Yeah, no, it's I've been running Duplass for almost 10 years now, and never planned to. I never wanted to run a company. I called Mark Duplass the detour that I accidentally took, because I was I'm going to be a director, writer, heading on that path. And then I met Mark, and here we are. And I still hadn't made my feature film, and was coming up on, I'll be 40 in a month. And I was shit, I got to make my first feature before I turn 40. So it's gone on too long. And so Mark would pitch me ideas, and Mark pitches these I call them his kernels, where they're these amazing kernels, but they're never fully formed. And so he threw some things at me, and at some point this was the one that stuck, where I was I feel it in my gut. I see the things I can do with this. I'm going to take it to a place he wouldn't, in many ways, and expand upon some themes. And I wish I could tell you all the themes, but I will say as it being the last two men on Earth and being men, I was I want to dig into that and explore that. And as a woman, what that means and what I can do with them.
So Mark was involved in the story ideation then.
Yeah. He did pitch me like Last Human on Earth in this biosphere. X, Y, and Z could happen. I don't know how. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do some research. I'm a huge like science nerd and read a bunch of stuff and figured out how to make it all plausible, which I mean, I love indie science fiction too, because I think there's like you can even like push more boundaries and rules and you're not worried about, somebody else's bigger budget coming in and holding you to these restrictions. So I was like, I want to go crazy. I want to push boundaries. I want to give some science that is plausible to like get the audience on board, and then I'm going to go crazy and just hope they stop thinking about what's real and what's not.
Well, I have to say, I've done the fish experiment and it works. It actually happened.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we got babies out of that one.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
But I do like how, first of all, and I like that you keep it kind of low tech, even though you built a dome. There is a dome that exists, and there's a, I don't want to ruin stuff, but there's like, there is a looming threat from outside. We don't know what, like something's going on, but how did you, like, where did you shoot this, or did you just build it?
Yeah. No, we shot it in a stage in Glendale, and just basically built the dome out. Obviously, like there were certain parts, like some of the roof I had to do in VFX. But just I wanted it to feel like we were all trapped in the dome. And sometimes technically we were, because I have a couple shots where I'm like, I want to see the world. And so we would get locked in and it would be like, last call for pee, and we're in here for the next hour. Let's do this.
We've got like 500 people watching us live.
Yeah, I should probably mention the biggest question. So how much did you steal from Biodome? That seems like
people are joking in the chat.
Okay, here's the deal. Mark and I watched it with this, like, let's just make sure we're not doing anything that we forgot was in Biodome. And it has nothing to do with it. Although I did name, you have to make a company every time you make a film. And I did name the company Biodome 2 with a TOO, which was like Mark and I's joke. If we were going to name it anything other than Biosphere, we'd call it Biodome 2 with the TOO. I mean, I love Biodome, and it's going to stay what it is. And I didn't want to touch that territory.
Well, then that answers that question. Is that a sequel to Biodome? No, it's not. From Retribution Zero, but we have
just one of 100 questions like that.
Yeah, we've got like 500 people watching us live. So do you mind if we go to chat questions?
Yeah.
Here we go. Says Patrick Lemire says, "Over the Edge, nice."
Oh yeah. Well, it was Film Threat. I'm like, I like dug and was like, what movie do I wear?
That's great. And Not Pitboy Gamer says, "Hail Mel." So there you are.
All right.
The Nerd Far Away says, "Hail Mel, how much say do you have when casting? How much say do you want when casting?" I mean, obviously Mark was involved, but how'd you get Sterling involved? Sterling came out.
What's crazy is when I write, I always have to think of an actor, knowing that it's like never going to be that actor in the long run, but I want to make him a full human as I'm putting it together. Sterling was the person that I wrote all this dialogue for with his voice in my head. Mark and I from the start were like, that would be the dream. I have all the say in casting, which is amazing. And like sent it to Sterling being like, there's no chance in hell this is happening, but you got to try and dream. And then he read it overnight, which also never happens. And he called me while driving a vehicle, like holding the phone, just being like, let's do this when I'm ready. I was almost just going to say a spoiler and I had to hold it back. The first thing he said was a spoiler. So I can't say what he said when I got on the phone, but
what were the character development conversations like with Sterling?
I mean, what I loved is Sterling has such a different perspective. I've got Mark and me who have very different perspectives, male versus female. And then I had Sterling come in, who's a Black man. And he's like, I have a whole nother world that I come from that you guys could never understand. So he's like, let me add this. And he kind of fully formed his character based on the bit that we had on the page. And just kind of anybody who's seen that dude, I'm like, I trust you, make this what you want. And I hadn't really seen much comedy from him, but I was like, I know this dude is going to be so funny. And he fucking was, which is amazing, but just kind of gave that to him and said, let it rip.
Cool. And let's see, more questions here. Greasy Guido asks, did you do any research on how a biosphere would function or just wing it?
No, I totally did. Yeah, I read all about the true what is it called? Biosphere 2, like the real one that they did, and read everybody's biographies who was in that biosphere. I looked into like how people survive in space to just figure out like what are the things that I should put in here if anybody wants to tear me down. They'd be like, all right, well, she at least has like the radioisotope machine or whatever it was. I did enough, I think, hopefully.
Cool. And then Solomon Thornton asks, how long was principal photography and any advice?
For sure. I think we shot in like 15 days, which the shortest film I've ever shot was Blue Jay, which was supposed to be 8, and we wrapped 7.5 days in. And my advice is always 2 characters, 1 location. If you really want to make a film and not be stopped and be kinder. And as a first-time feature director, I was like, I'm going to be kind to myself and have these restrictions and just be able to like push boundaries within this contained box.
I actually think that restrictions for an indie filmmaker are a strength. You're not like a big Hollywood film solving problems with money. I think that's where Hollywood, particularly recently, CGI has been so overused and it looks bad and it turns audiences off because it's not real. I don't think, if I recall watching your film, I don't think there are any digital effects, maybe some lighting effects. I mean, maybe there were, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there are. Yeah. I mean, there actually are quite a bit, but like we keep it so lo-fi. I feel like if you keep it lo-fi, people are going to pick it apart less than, the big world building you'll do in the bigger films.
Yeah. Well, I didn't notice it. So good on you.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
There are a lot of directors, like Christopher Nolan famously doesn't like to use digital effects unless there's no other way to, to make that effect. More questions here. Brock Samsonite asked, was it hard to get funding for this project?
I feel bad saying this, but no, because Mark and I wanted to do this so bad. So what we did was we were like, Mark, go make the morning show and let's just take everything you make from that big ass show and put it into this movie we love. And it was that simple. Like I make Mark and Jay go off and make big shit so I can use their money to make the things that we want to make, the indie stuff.
Well, you've been responsible, you and your whole team and everyone there have been responsible for so many like amazing indie films and television series.
Thanks, dude.
And oh my God, what was the series? I can't believe I can't think of the name right now, where they do Dune the musical. What was that?
Togetherness.
Yeah. This show was on HBO Max. Hopefully it's still on Max. Togetherness is this limited series about relationships. Great, sort of, a lot of themes from indies, but in it they make Dune the musical. It is absolutely epic. It is so fun. I mean, like I've just always admired the philosophy of the films you make at your company. And I would recommend just to everyone watching right now. God, Mark did this great video where he talked about the vomit draft. His of doing a script. He will dictate a script into his phone and he calls it the vomit draft. I think I learned that from Togetherness, where he just gets out all the ideas and then goes and makes it a real script.
100%. He vomits to me and then I get the half vomit pile and then I have to be like, let's make this into something.
Oh, that's great. And then he gave a speech, I'll never forget it, at the 2016 South by Southwest, I believe. It was the keynote speech. And the key takeaway from that speech is the cavalry isn't coming.
Yeah.
No one's going to help you.
So true. Just make something with whatever you've got.
Yeah. I mean, I still am such a fan of the puffy chair. I mean, that movie, that was their first, I don't know if it was their first feature. But
there was a feature that is buried and we never speak of. So yes, let's say it was the puffy chair.
I love that film. Anyways, back to more questions.
Yeah, I gotta ask you, what's up with the music?
Oh my God, dude! So there's these composers, Danny Bensky and Saundra Jurgens, who I had met on the film The One I Love, and they are phenomenal. They did Ozark. Just like old friends that I trust. And that was the one thing I was like, I don't know what the hell to do with this. I send them a bunch of my temp music, and Sonder just like within like a day sent me something back that was just him singing. And I was like, let's go with this. Like, no instruments. Let's just do the voices. We've got 2 dudes in this biosphere. Let's make it feel like hearing other human voices expands the world a little bit.
That stands out the moment the movie starts.
Greasy Guido has a question. If you could only bring one movie into your biodome, what would it be?
No, I can't do that. I really can't. I don't know. This is so obscure, but I just rewatched Todd Rohall's The Catechism Cataclysm last night because I'm going to talk about it in another podcast because it's one of my favorites. It's this indie film that is so underrated, but the funniest thing ever. Highly recommend people watch that. I would be fine with that, but like, that's really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. Well, this is not a movie I would bring in the dome, but one of my favorite indie movies nobody's heard of is I Am a Sex Addict by Kaveh Zahidi. And ask Jay about that.
Okay.
Jay, I know he's a big fan of that film, and it's really low tech made. It's sort of a hybrid documentary, romantic comedy, personal story. Kaveh Zahidi's just a bizarre, more of an underground filmmaker than an indie filmmaker. But yeah, I Am a Sex Addict. Ask Jay next time you see Jay.
Okay, all right, I will.
And tell him I said hi. A few more questions. I know you got to go in 2 minutes, but hopefully a few more questions we can get in. The Introspect M, how much use of special effects are in the movie? Were they practical or CGI?
There are definitely lots of practical. If I can go practical, I will. So we got super creative on set with practicals. And then really like CGI was just finishing some of the dome up top. I don't want to give it away, but there is one scene that I needed. I didn't want to hurt an animal, so I had to CGI a little bit there. But that might have been it. And then it's like hiding the sides that somebody left in the background, like boring CGI stuff.
Another question from Lubitsch touched me. For your next film, is there a story you would like to adapt, or do you have an original idea you'd like to develop?
I have many in both categories. I'm not going to tell you what I want to adapt because I don't want somebody to take them before I have a chance. But I already shot something that Mark and I created that's in the can. So I do have the next thing already done. But I want to do a lot more in the science fiction zone.
I love indie sci-fi because you can go deep. You can, something that would be like a side plot in an episode of Star Trek, you can fully explore and get into the science of it, which your film does. From Rumble, A Dallas 24, I must ask, is there any news about Creep 3 as we produce the sequel?
So yes, but it's not what you think it's going to be, is all I can say. There is more in the Creep world coming.
Okay, I love the Creep films. They're underrated. They're super intense. It has sort of a you are there, like so there's, there's a sort of a story excuse to like why they're filming everything. And then Mark, the way Mark plays it, because Mark is, likable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's likable. Like in any movie you see him, oh, I like that guy. In Creep, in the Creep films, he uses that, and it's awesome.
It's about to get creepier, is all I will say. And no, the Creep world will never die. It's like Patrick and Mark are not going to let that die.
Good, because I love those films. I bought them on Vudu. So there you go. And one last question. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Mel's got to go. But Brock Samsonite is, how often do you find outtakes while editing? Do you have a favorite outtake?
Oh, I can't say the outtakes from this film because they're major spoilers.
You don't. Please don't.
No, they usually... I mean, the one I can tell you is that, and I feel comfortable saying this because Mark's like my brother, but he farts all the time and they're silent and deadly and everybody acts like they've never happened. And on the set one day in Biosphere, we're literally rolling and he like throws a ball and the fart comes out and it's loud and nobody reacted. And I would just start laughing hysterically. And I'm like, how are we all going to pretend this didn't happen. I'm fine ruining the take for this. Like, somebody has to call this dude out at some point. So that was one outtake.
Well, it's look. I think I'll just say this. I think farts are funny. I think maybe always funny. You should have left it in the film, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
farts and projectile vomit. Never enough.
But thank you, Mel, for being on the show today. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on Biosphere.
Thanks.
And it is in theaters now. It's playing in Glendale. Look it up. And it's also on video on demand this weekend, next weekend.
Yeah, this week, like right now. And we're in 60 theaters too. So definitely try and check it out if you can.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Congrats, Mel. Always love anything that's Duplass related. Always a fan. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.